Hola y bienvenidos a la unidad 9, lección 92B. Unit 9, lesson 92B, los usos del imperfecto, the uses of the imperfect tense. You're going to need your Unit 9 resource packet. El objetivo, los estudiantes podrán identificar y aplicar los usos del imperfecto. So you're going to be able to identify and apply the uses of the imperfect tense. El verbo de hoy, identificar, to identify. Y la cita dice, no vivas del pasado. El pasado quedó atrás. Vive el presente con la experiencia del pasado. Don't live in the past. The past is behind you. Live in the present with the experience of the past. That's deep. All right. Remember, you have this resource sheet, past imperfect uses, right here in the middle, available to you online if you lose your packet. Okay, so you need to open your packet to this page where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 uses of the imperfect tense. So a couple of these we kind of already know from the previous lesson. So we talked about the imperfect tense usually translates as used to verb or was verbing. So those two things are going to be expressed in reasons number 1 and 2. So reason number 1 to use the imperfect in the past tense is for habitual activities, routines, and situations with continuity in the past. So in other words, things that from a past perspective we were doing over and over, and over again. La mujer se levantaba muy temprano todas las mañanas. The woman got up or would get up early each morning or every morning. So notice we had a trigger phrase here also, todas las mañanas, that triggers repetition. And so that's indicating habitual activities in the past. Automatically going to trigger the imperfect. Reason number 2 is to talk about or describe the background in which other actions, events, and activities took place or occurred or were interrupted. Trasfondo means background. So you can think of this as background description, right? These are things that we don't need when we summarize. We can take them away, but the story's not very interesting if we take them away. They're the details, the description. Or actions that were ongoing and got interrupted. So let's look at the two examples. En la graduación había mucha gente y hacía buen tiempo. Todos llevaban su mejor vestimiento. At graduation, there were lots of people. The weather was nice. Everyone was wearing, ing, their best outfits. There's nothing here that moves the story forward. It's all just background information and description. We could take this away and then just start saying what happened. The students walked across the stage. They got their diploma. They took a bow, right? But this sets up the scene. Background information, imperfect tense. Item B. Hablábamos cuando de repente alguien tocó la puerta y nos asustó. So here we've got both the imperfect tense at the beginning and we've got the preterite tense tocó y nos asustó at the end. What's happening here? The imperfect at the beginning is the background information, the thing that was going on when something happened, ed. We were talking, the process, the ongoing action, when suddenly someone knocked on the door and scared us. So we had an action going on and something else interrupted that action. The thing that was going on goes in the imperfect. The thing that interrupts the action is in the preterite. And notice how that matches with what we have looked. We were talking, ing, verbing. Someone knocked, ed, scared, ed. Okay, so that's probably 85% of the reasons that we use the imperfect. The last 3 are pretty straightforward. Estados, states, to talk about or describe conditions or physical, mental, and emotional states of being. Ella se sentía un poco triste. She felt a little sad. That's an emotional state. Emotional states automatically go in the imperfect. Ella adoraba a sus hijos. That's another emotional state. It was a feeling. Elena tenía hambre. That's a physical state. Tenía miedo, psychological, mental state. Teníamos calor, physical state. Tenías frío, physical state. So anytime we're talking about somebody's physical description, their mental or emotional state in the past, we're going to use the imperfect. Number 4, tiempo y clima, time and weather. So time in the past tense always goes in the imperfect. And of course, just like in the present tense, it's going to use the verb ser. So era la una menos cuarto. It was 12:45 in the afternoon when we ate. Eran las 7:30. It was 7:30 at night when you guys arrived. So time is always going to go in the imperfect. Time is, if you think about it, it's background information, it's description. Letter B is about the weather. We have to be, weather's a little tricky. We have to think about how are we talking about the weather in the past. If we're talking about the weather as description, then it goes in the imperfect tense. No llovía ni estaba nublado. It wasn't raining and it wasn't cloudy. Hacía buen tiempo. It was good weather. Hacía sol. It was sunny and cool. So this is being used as description. But if we make a sentence something like, yesterday it rained, notice first of all, we had a trigger phrase, yesterday, that has a specific beginning and end. It rained, ed, something that moved the story forward. The weather is not being used as description, it's being used to narrate and move the story forward. Okay, and then the last one, edad, age. Anytime we're talking about age, whether as a number, how old somebody is, or as a concept of being young or old or middle-aged, it always uses the imperfect. So, for example, cuando tú y yo teníamos 20 años, we're expressing the actual number of age, imperfect tense. Éramos tan jóvenes y su casa era tan vieja. We were young and the house was really old. So we're talking about age, but not in a number form, in just like a general idea. Either way, anytime you're talking about age, it is it goes in the imperfect. So everything's pretty straightforward except for the weather, right? Repetition, imperfect. Background information, imperfect. Background information that gets interrupted, imperfect. Physical, mental, emotional states, imperfect. Time, imperfect. Weather, if it's being used as description, imperfect. Age, imperfect. All right, so your job now is to move on to the practice assignment. There's a front and back page to this. So you've got 4 sections. I've got the first one done for you here. So what do you need to do? 2 things. You need to conjugate in the imperfect, and then you need to give me the reason why. So number 1, I used to live in New York. Yo vivía en Nueva York. Vivía is the conjugation for yo. And then why did we call for the imperfect in this sentence, I used to live? It's background information. Number 2, Jessica was talking to her mother. Jessica hablaba con su mamá. Again, that's going to be background information. So you're going to use this sheet right here to help you answer your or give reasoning for the conjugation that you're putting in. All right, when you're finished, search me out so I can check your answers before moving on to the next lesson. Suerte, good luck.